Hey, you just purchased a new guitar and you have a feeling that guitar is not playable, or something needs to be adjusted, or you need to do a full setup. Let me show you steps, pretty quick, of what to look for and how to adjust multiple components of your instrument. We'll talk about neck and straightness of the neck, frets and metal fret wires, pickups, and how close pickups are supposed to be to your strings. A lot of people ask this question. Strap holders, these little knobs, very important, because you can't imagine how many people dropped their guitar while playing standing up. So they think the strap is secure, and then in a split second your guitar falls on the ground, and that's how most guitarists damage this part of the body of the guitar or even the neck of their guitar. We will also talk about this input, especially on Fender Stratocasters. That's a very vulnerable part of your guitar if you play this type of electric guitar. And we will talk about strings and bridge, whether it's a stop tail or the bridge is movable. If you are more interested in how to maintain your guitar and how to store it, please scroll to the end of this video. I will show you how to keep your guitar in good shape. Too many people absolutely ruined their expensive guitars by leaving them in the car when it's hot or cold or humid. You don't want it to happen. Learn about your instrument. Well, in one of my most recent videos, I showed you how to choose a guitar. However, in some cases, for example, when you buy a guitar online, you simply don't have a chance to play it or check it beforehand. So now it comes in the mail, and you see that, for example, neck is not straight or intonation is not there. So you press it to a specific fret, but it's not giving you the correct note, right? Could be also a problem with volume and tone knobs. Could be problem with any of these screws, by the way, with the tuners, with springs in the back of your guitar. So a lot of people start asking me additional questions under my latest video. So I decided to discuss the most important ones. Step number one of what you need to check as soon as you unpack your guitar is how straight the neck is. That's probably most important part of your instrument. You need to make it playable. You need to be able to press string easily to the fretboard. And if the action, the distance between strings and your fretboard is too big, you will have difficulties to play your instrument. Also, it will not intonate because it will take extra tension for your finger to cover the distance to the fret wire. And that is how you get a note that will sound higher than it's supposed to be. You will most likely need a bigger Phillips screwdriver and a smaller one. Also, I would recommend a set of wrenches, something like this from Gibson or Fender. I'll give you a link of where to buy it in the description for this video. So how to check if the neck is straight? Remember, I showed you multiple times in other videos. You will look from this angle where you can see a straight line of the entire fretboard. You'll see if it's curved a little bit, or it's completely straight, or it's curved outwards. Depending on the situation, you will need to adjust, to make slight adjustments using the metal truss rod inside the neck. So you will pick a correct key from this wrench, okay, insert it, and adjust the tension of the truss rod inside. Consult this particular picture of which way you tighten or loosen the neck, which way it will make it pop up or get bent inwards. Keep in mind, one guitar brand is going to be different from another. Sometimes you access the metal truss rod from here. Other times it will be accessible on the other side. As I showed in this video about Fender Telecaster, you see on the screen. Be ready to completely remove pick guard, and you will need a very peculiar bent flathead screwdriver to reach for that nut to adjust the tension of the neck of your guitar. If you're still not sure which way you need to turn the metal truss rod inside, just loosen all the strings. Make sure you make adjustments to the tension of your neck. When strings are completely loose, you can either completely remove the strings or you can loosen them to the point that they don't create any tension. You will feel it with your finger. and then make adjustments. Surprisingly, I remember I've been buying a Gibson Les Paul custom shop at a guitar center in Virginia, and the sales guy started adjusting the truss rod while strings were tightened. You've got to understand one thing: all 6 strings together, when they tuned properly, they create tremendous tension and pull in one particular side of the neck, right? So your neck is bent this way, right, by strings pulling it to the right. So that is why when you adjust the metal truss rod inside, it's fighting not only the tension of wooden parts of your neck, but also it's fighting the tension of all 6 strings pulling your neck in one particular way. So to avoid that, if you keep doing it consistently, sooner or later you'll get in trouble and neck will be damaged. I would suggest loosening all strings and then make adjustments. If you're not sure still which way to go, just keep your eye on this straight line of the fretboard here. And when you adjust, you will see how neck's slightly moving up or down, closer to strings or farther from strings. All right, with this micro adjustment, you do it 1 or 2 times and keep your eye on what's going on. Turn the opposite way and see if it's loosening the tension of the neck. Now, frets and fret wires. Whenever possible, check if fret wires are not eaten by strings. If you don't see the string created a canal in your fret wire, that is not repairable. You cannot just file this fret wires. It will completely stop working, right? So you'll need to refret guitar, and refret is expensive, and not a lot of shops will even do this kind of work. Now, tuners. Just make sure that all these little nuts around tuning pegs are tightened. You can tighten them with your thumb and finger, or you can find a certain wrench that will help you tightening. Do not let these nuts to be loose. Any loose part, any loose metal screw on your guitar will result in giving you buzz sound when you play. Also, if you have this multi-screwdriver wrench kit, you can adjust the screw on top of each tuning key. Sure that these screws are not loose. Nothing should be loose on your tuning pegs because it will result in buzz sound when you play. Same thing on the other side. If you see screws on sides or you have extra nut to tighten your string, make sure it's all closed, it's all locked. Don't let it loose, it will buzz. When you play Fender Stratocaster, you will see a huge number of these little screws on a pick guard. They all need to be tightened. All right, make sure nothing is loose, including the ones that adjust the height of the pickup, magnetic pickup. So very often people ask how close the pickup is supposed to be to the string. Try to understand that magnetic pickups are like microphones. These are microphones. So technically, the closer the magnetic pickup is to the string, the better. It will pick up articulation better, right? You will have more intonation when you play, like more control of the intonation. However, specifically on Stratocaster, where you have 3 pickups set up, the middle one is exactly in the way of you picking the string. So now, if it's too close to the string, you will inevitably scratch and hit it when you play. And since it's a microphone, all the sounds are going to be audible. So avoid keeping, especially this middle one, too close to strings. So make sure that how much of your pick is sticking out when you play. That should be the distance between your pickup and string. Approximately the same distance you will need to set up for the neck pickup, and maybe a little bit closer because it's never in your way of picking strings. You can bring the bridge pickup closer to strings because this one is the most distorted, the most sensitive pickup. It can be a little bit closer to the strings themselves. And one more detail. Make sure you understand that when you press string down to fretboard, the entire string goes closer to the magnetic pickup, all right? So leave a little bit of space. Make sure that when you press on string, it's not touching the pickup itself. Next thing to check is strap holder knobs. On some guitars, they are smaller, like on this particular Stratocaster. So I would suggest to first use a Phillips screwdriver and make sure the screw is all the way in. It's tightened. You don't want it to come off, all right, or lose the grip when you play standing up. Additionally, I would suggest to use this metal extra clip that is actually holding like that, your strap in. So even if you bend it accidentally, it's not coming off and you will not drop your guitar, which in most cases will result in damage. And one more thing to mention. A lot of people play Fender Stratocaster. All right, it's like the most sold guitar in the world. Using a Phillips small screwdriver, make sure that you tighten these screws as any other screw you have on your guitar, right? So that should be tightened. Then there is a small nut right here that you want to make tighten to using a wrench. When you use a cable jack that is inserted into this input, sometimes when you move the jack, you also feel some static-like noise, like it's losing connection. Like this input inside is losing the grip onto the jack. In this case, you can either unscrew these two screws and with your finger like tighten the grip, or bring your guitar to a professional guitar master. Now, strings and bridge. Either it's a stop tail, like not movable, or movable like on these Stratocasters. On most Stratocasters, you would be able to use whammy bar here, right? So a couple of things to notice. If your neck is completely straight, but you still feel the strings are far from the fretboard, you will need to adjust these two little screws that hold the entire bridge. By screwing it in, it will bring the bridge deeper inside the body of your guitar, which will ultimately make strings go closer to fretboard, right? If they are laying down on fretboard, you unscrew them and bring the bridge, like lift it up. At the same time, there are additional screws right here in the back. They actually move these nuts forward and backward, making the nut go closer to the bridge or farther from the bridge. How do you know how far you need to move this nut? So technically, in the very beginning, when guitar is brand new, take a thread or measure tape and measure distance from here where the string is coming out of the nut, all right, at the headstock, and measure distance to the 12th metal fret wire. Exact same distance is supposed to be from this 12th metal fret wire to the string when it's coming out of this bridge nut. If distance is not the same, you will adjust and move it back or forth to get it closer to the 12th metal fret wire. That's how you get proper intonation. That is how open 6th string is gonna be E and string pressed 12th fret is gonna be E. Well, before you do anything, before you check how straight the neck of your guitar is, make sure you tighten strings to a correct tune. Consult this picture on the video to understand which string is giving you which note on a piano if you use keyboard for tuning, or get any electronic tuner, something like this one. You clip it onto your guitar, somewhere here, for example. Let me see if it works. Yeah. And then when you play a string, it shows you the note, okay? And you will tune first string to E, second to B, third to G, 4 to D note, 5 is A, and 6 is again E, but 2 octaves lower compared to string number 1. Only after all strings are properly tightened and tuned, you can tell if your neck needs adjustments, right? Because if all strings are loose, your neck may look straight, but when you tighten them, they will pull the neck to the right, right? And you will see a bigger gap, bigger action between strings and fretboard. So before you make a decision of either tighten the truss rod or loosen it, you need to tune all the strings and see what's going on when your guitar is in playable shape. And final step in your setup. if you have a movable bridge, right, something with whammy bar, on the back side of the body of your guitar, you will see these springs. You will need to remove the panel, and you will see typically 5 of these springs. If it's a new guitar, all of them will be attached to this bridge on the other side. You need to remove at least 2 of them, because if all 5 are tightened on your bridge, you will not be able to move this bridge with your whammy bar. So to make it float up and down, you need a little space here between body of your guitar and the bridge. It's achieved by removing a couple of springs, and you will need to, test, because sometimes people use very thick and tight strings, right? So they need more pressure on the other side, more tension. But if your strings are 9 or 8, I would remove at least 2 out of 5, and this will make your bridge float. And again, if your guitar is not Fender, Stratocaster or Tele, and it's not Gibson Les Paul type, something very peculiar and unique like Paul Reed Smith, for example, it will typically come with a set of tools that you need for this particular guitar. Like you see, this cup truss rod adjusting tool is gonna be different from any other guitar brand, but it will come with your guitar if it's new. If not, you go to nearest guitar store, show your guitar, and they will suggest the range of tools for this particular model. All right, that's pretty much it. If I missed anything or you have a particular question to add to the ones I covered in this video, please ask in the comments below. Now we'll go to maintaining and storing your guitar. Well, best thing you can do is to have a hard shell case for your guitar, and you just lock your guitar and keep your case standing up, not to create any extra tension on the neck. Additionally, if you keep your guitar like this on the couch, laying down on the couch, which a lot of people do, make sure you don't create extra tension on the neck. Don't put the neck or head stock laying on something like, let's say, like this, because it creates extra pressure with the whole weight of the body of your guitar and neck on the neck where strings are pulling in the same direction. It would be better if you do it this way, because it neutralizes the pull, the tension that strings create. On the other hand, I would completely avoid any extra pressure on the neck, on the wooden part, especially if it goes on one side. Avoid twisting the neck. Best case scenario is to keep it like that. When neck is not touching anything, your guitar just lays on its body, but neck is floating up in the air. Same thing goes for keeping your guitar standing up and resting on a wall, for example. Do not create extra tension in the same direction where strings are pulling your neck. So I would better store it like this, because again, it neutralizes the tension that all 6 strings create on your neck, right? So it's kind of pushing it in the opposite directions from where strings are pulling it. So better to keep it somewhere in the corner position, right? So it does not slide to the right, to the left, and your neck again is not touching anything, so no extra pressure is created on any side of the neck. If you want to hang your guitar on the wall with this specific holder that just keeps it on these 2 sides, it's okay. It does not create any more tension to the right or to the left of the neck, on the neck, and actually it keeps the neck straight. That is why you see that a lot of guitars at guitar stores are actually hanged on the wall. That's a good thing. Now, absolutely bad position to store your guitar. If you put it very close to the AC or heater outlet, it will definitely affect all wooden parts of your guitar. At the same time, it's close to the door that leads outside. Never keep your guitar next to windows or doors that lead outside of the house. Now, example of a good storage place for your guitar. First of all, I would prefer to keep it in a hard shell case, so no deviation, no extra tension on the neck is imposed. And then you put it as far as possible from doors and windows that lead outside. You don't keep it in a direct sunlight. Better in a closet like this, where there is no AC or heater outlet and it's far from doors or windows. Something like that. And of course, do not leave your guitar in your car outside. Sometimes people come to visit a friend and they think, oh, it's gonna be only 30 minutes or 1 hour, and then they stay for 3-4 hours. And your guitar is very sensitive to high temperatures, low temperatures, and humidity, especially the wooden neck part. A friend of mine just ruined a very expensive washburn by leaving it for 3 hours outside when it was sunny and hot. Don't be this guy. And by the way, if you feel like you're not handy when you do a setup for your guitar, if you feel you can damage your guitar because you don't know what you're doing, or guitar is very expensive, I would recommend to contact your local guitar master. If you live in Washington, D.C. area, Maryland, or Virginia, I would recommend Metro Guitar Service. He's located at this address you see on the screen. It's in Falls Church, Virginia, and the name of this guy is Greg. He's awesome. I definitely recommend. In my experience, most of repairs were done on the same day when I texted or called him. So I definitely recommend this service to anybody who wants to make adjustments to their guitar. Maintenance comes down to wiping strings after you play, maybe cleaning them, degreasing. Also, you can polish and lubricate fretboard and fret wires, and polish the body of your guitar. If you don't have any professional kit, you just use the alcohol and soft cloth, soak it in alcohol, and wipe the strings like so, one by one. String number 1, all the way. Then you grab string number 2 and wipe it. And that's how you go about all 6 strings. If you want to spend a couple of bucks though and have professional solution, you buy this Dunlop Ultra Glide. It has a soft cloth on top and liquid inside. So all you have to do is just put it on strings with the soft top head and wipe your strings just like that. It cleans, removes bacteria, removes sweat, dirt, and basically make your strings last longer. I will leave the links for all these solutions in the description. For fretboard and fret wires, you can use this fast fret cleaner and lubricant. It has a soft cloth and liquid inside. You do it only when you change strings. You polish and clean fretboard every time you change strings or every other time. And if you feel like you really want to take care of your guitar, especially if it's expensive, you buy a guitar care kit, right? With lemon oil here in the middle, fret wire polisher, and guitar body polish. And for the body of your guitar, I would not do it too often. You can probably do it every 3 to 5 years to actually polish the finish of your guitar's body. That's all. Again, find link for this kit in the description. That would be it for today. Of course, it's impossible to cover all the questions and all guitar models. For example, as you see on this PRS guitar, the tuners are way different from Fender or Gibson guitars. If you want me to cover how these tuners work in the next video, please put your comment with the request under this video. And of course, if you see value in this video and this work, consider subscribing and give this video a like. Until next time, peace.